If you are a conditional resident, meaning you're issued a 2-year green card, based on marriage in this case, you know that means that you and your spouse need to file the I-751 petition to remove conditions on residence in that 90-day window before your green card expires. But what if you didn't do that and you missed the window and you and your spouse did not do the joint filing on time? Well, this is a video on what to do next. Hi, I'm SohYoon Atac. I'm an attorney and one of the founders of Adam Law Group. We release videos about the law, including immigration. If this is of interest to you and you would like to learn more about how the law can serve you, please subscribe. First, you need to prepare the joint I-751 filing package as a couple normally would when filing on time, except that you guys need to do this as soon as possible because the longer you wait, the more time passes, then the more untimely your filing is going to be. And this makes things worse for you because it's harder to have persuasive reasons covering a longer period of untimeliness. I highly recommend you check out our other I-751 videos. In fact, we have a playlist of these videos, and among them, there's one that provides the foundational background, and this way you can understand what is the purpose of this I-751 filing and what is it that I need to prove to US immigration. And in particular, you should check out the one, I think it's called something like I-751 Fully Explained, and we'll link to these in the notes. And this one actually goes into how to prepare the packet and what documents you need to include. So, actually my first recommendation is that you work with an attorney, but I know that that's not in the cards for everyone. So if that's the case for you, then I especially encourage you to check out those videos. Now, you need to recognize that you are already out of the kind of the regular pile of cases, let's say, because you're filing this late. So when things are out of the ordinary, I think that may cause further scrutiny and things like that. So given that, you really need to prepare a very strong filing with lots of evidence proving your good faith marriage. Now, that of course has to be balanced with the need to do this quickly in your case. In addition to this excellently and properly prepared, strong I-751 filing packet, you must include a written statement. And the statement must, number one, explicitly request that USCIS excuse the late filing, and two, provide an explanation for the failure to file on time. So the reason why you missed that 90-day filing window. Let me emphasize that the written statement is a requirement. And this goes without saying, but of course, you should thoroughly review the Form I-751 instructions. And in the section about untimely filing, this is definitely stated. So this is not an option. Because if you don't provide this written statement with these two things, then the officer will issue an RFE, which means a request for evidence, asking for a written explanation. And if you are issued an RFE requesting a written statement that you failed to provide, then that just means more time and probably more scrutiny for your case. So you really want to include this written statement right off the bat. Now, if you still don't provide this written statement, even after the RFE is issued by the officer, then your case will be denied. Interestingly, supporting evidence is not technically required. Immigration says when your explanation is facially acceptable or reasonable on its face. Now, I'm only talking about supporting evidence as it pertains to your request to excuse the untimely filing, not as it pertains to you having to prove your good faith marriage. That's required for sure. Now, even though supporting evidence may not technically be required, we highly, highly recommend that you definitely provide documentary evidence that backs up, your claimed reasons for why you missed that filing window. For example, if your reason for the late filing is illness, either you or someone that you needed to care for was really ill, then you definitely want to include medical records or evidence such as a letter from a doctor and things like that. Let's say your reason for the late filing was that there was a death in the family. And again, you could just say that, but it would be much stronger to include the death certificate and maybe affidavits from other people about, your close relationship with the person who passed away, or, the toll that it took on you. So really, you don't want to just say that. You want to provide documentary evidence. If your reason for the late filing is that you welcomed a new baby or a child into your family, so by birth or adoption, then again, you could just say that, but it would be much stronger to include evidence of that. And this would be doubly good because it also helps prove your good faith marriage between you and your spouse. So again, even though it's not technically required, we highly, highly, highly recommend that you provide evidence to support the reason that you're providing for the late filing. Let's talk about the legal standard. Here, the officer has broad discretion and the power to excuse the late filing for good cause and extenuating circumstances. So what does that mean? Well, the government has not defined that exactly, but it has provided some guidance in the past. Let me read you the examples the government has provided of things that could be good cause and extenuating circumstances. So, hospitalization, long-term illness, death of a family member, legal or financial problems, having to care for someone, bereavement, serious family emergency, work commitment, or family member on active duty with the U.S. military. It's definitely worth trying and filing that I-751, even if you don't think you have the best excuse or one that qualifies as a good cause or extenuating circumstances. I've spoken with couples in the past who are like, we just forgot. And yet, if I start questioning them, we usually come up with some reasons, typically more than one, that can reasonably be presented to the officer. So you got to keep in mind that the list I read you from the government, those are just examples. You should consider each one to help you brainstorm and think up the reasons in your life for the late filing. But as you can see from just that list alone, there can be many situations that can qualify as a good cause and extenuating circumstances. So what's really important is to give a written explanation, and it doesn't have to be a novel, but one that persuasively ties together what's happened in your life with the impact that it had on you with being the cause for that late filing. In the past, I've heard of USCIS officers using their discretion to excuse the untimely filing for reasons like, we have a new baby and it really threw us for a spin, to I had a temporary situation at work, a crazy time at work that took up all of my time, to we moved and we had a really difficult time adjusting and making all the arrangements and getting settled. So really, you want to examine your life, and you can always refer to those examples the government gives, but look at your life and really think, what was it that might have contributed to us not making this filing on time? By the way, one reason that's been found to not be a sufficient reason for the untimely filing is if you state that, we never got the reminder notice from USCIS to file our I-751. So that's been found to not be a sufficient reason for the late filing. So don't try that and don't include that in your written explanation if that pertains to you. You and your spouse may be in a high state of alarm because this obviously is not a deadline that you have the luxury to miss. However, there's hope. There's a decent chance that your late I-751 joint filing, if it's properly prepared and submitted, can be excused and accepted by U.S. immigration. So I wish you guys the best of luck. If you found this helpful, please like the video. And for more like it, please subscribe. Also, please feel free to comment below regarding any topics that you'd like us to cover. We're definitely looking at the comments as we consider future videos. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.